Hi, friends, and welcome to Oli Green. Trained in London as a graphic information designer and having worked there for 25 years in the advertising and design field, she moved to New Zealand in 2002. Our guest for the day is Jane Smith, all the way from New Zealand. She and her husband Neil opened Chocolate Dog Studio Illustrations with Jane handling the graphic design and Neil handling the photography. 3 years back, she retired from graphic design to concentrate fully on illustration and commissioned art. She now works with the authors of children's books from New Zealand and overseas and also writes and illustrates her own books. She undertakes animal portrait commissions too, and in her own words, she's enjoying what she's doing. Welcome, Jane, to Only Green.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here.
Okay. Now, how and when did you develop your passion for drawing and painting?
It started very early, and my mum soon learned that if she wanted some peace and quiet, the best thing to do was give me pencil and paper.
Okay.
So, as soon as I could, I started drawing.
Okay.
And so if ever I wanted anything to do with art materials, the answer was always yes.
Okay. And your paintings are mostly dogs. What I've seen from your Instagram handle, your paintings are mostly dogs. What is
Yes.
the inspiration for this?
That's by chance almost. When we moved to New Zealand, it was the first. We'd always had animals in the family in England, but always cats. And then when we came to New Zealand for the first time, we were working from home, and it was possible to have dogs. So we had two dogs, a chocolate Labrador and a golden retriever. And I basically fell in love.
Okay.
And I love dogs, and I seem to have an affinity with them. We've had several lost dogs turn up at the house and things like that. So because I draw and paint my own dogs so much, it just started with friends asking me to paint their dogs and relations asking me to paint their dogs, and it grew from there.
Okay. And also, your paintings are mostly on the nature and animals. Those are your subjects. What is it? If there is a message that you're trying to convey through your drawings and paintings, what could that be?
I'm very, very concerned about animal cruelty. And there's a project called the 100 Days Project, which is worldwide. And that's how I met George, who you've already interviewed.
Okay.
And you can choose any subject you do to paint or draw creatively for 100 days, and you just post your work online. And I chose to do 100 rescue dogs from the SPCA.
Okay.
So I took a puppy each day or a dog each day and just did so it was great for me because I was improving my skills. And also when they were finished, we exhibited them and donated some to the people who'd rescued the dogs and things like that. So anything I can sort of do to enhance the lives of animals with my art, I will undertake.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, animals are one inspiration, and I think there are a couple of nature paintings too. You do a little bit of. Okay.
Yeah, living in New Zealand, obviously, it's very beautiful, but also it's a disappearing landscape even here, and there's very few areas of wilderness actually left that are true wilderness. And the wide open spaces of New Zealand speak very profoundly to people, but they are disappearing. So we need to kind of record them and pay attention to keeping them sacred in a way.
Okay. And what are the mediums that you use for painting, like oil painting, crayons, watercolor?
Mostly with the paintings themselves, mostly oils and watercolors, like both of those. I do quite a few ink drawings and things like that. But I also paint digitally. So I paint in Photoshop and Procreate on the iPad. And there's some software called Rebel,
Okay.
which is, I don't know if you're aware of it, but it's an amazing software with a fantastic engine behind it, and you can actually see the watercolor drip down the screen. It's amazing. So
Okay, and you usually do paintings from a photograph or from a live model? When you
if I can meet the model, I will. I mean, I think it's important. You get a lot more of the dog's character or the animal's character from actually meeting them. I think the more successful works I've done have been where I've met the animal and painted or drawn from the animal, and just create that connection with them and get some of their character onto the paper as well. So I do use photos for reference, and I take my own photos if I can, but I do like to meet the animal if I possibly can.
But then, to make an animal sit quietly for you to do it is difficult, right?
That never happens. But it's just the extra information you can get visually. You know, you don't necessarily have to have extremely detailed drawings or anything like that. It's just having met the animal, you get more of a feel for them, and I think it comes out in the work. Okay,
but I mean, when you draw dogs, usually a particular breed will have almost, 90% of the features will be almost the same, right?
No, they're all different.
Okay.
No, they're all different characters, and yes, I mean my chocolate Labrador that I had, who the company was named after, he was so intelligent. He was like a man in a dog suit. He was just so bright.
Okay.
So he was not a typical chocolate Labrador.
Okay. See, I mean, in our channel, we talk about, in Only Green, we talk about making this world a greener place for future generations. I mean, that's what we intend to do. We try and feature people, we try and feature products, services, all those things. I mean, if there is one message to make this world a greener place for future generations from you, can you?
A greener place.
Yeah.
I would desperately ask people to pay attention to not just the animals that they can see and hear around them, but the bird life, the insect life, the tiny little organisms that are everywhere all around us, because every time you dump chemicals down the sink, every time you start your car up, you know, we're killing everything around us. And I would just ask people to consider the tiny things rather than the polar bear on the iceberg is a very emotive image, but it goes right through the whole chain to the less attractive animals, the less photogenic animals.
And you now do mostly works on commission, which are commissioned to you.
It's split between commissioned work and the illustration for books. Yeah.
Okay. So if somebody wants to reach you, I will surely give your Instagram handle and the mail ID in your profile. I mean, in the description, we'll do that. Thanks a lot for joining in. I mean, I know it's very cold out there. I mean, it's very obvious from your what you're wearing. Yeah. Thanks a lot. And we'll surely be in touch. Wishing you all the very best.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.